a report on silent genocide in Uganda's prison of Kitarya.
There is a lot of silent genocide happening in this country.
In the heart of Africa, a crisis unfolds in silence. Hidden behind the bars and walls of Uganda's prison of Kitarya, a human tragedy of unspeakable proportions is taking place.
That Kitarya is a new Guantanamo Bay.
This is the story of a silent genocide in Kitarya prison, where most of National Unity Platform, NUP, supporters are being imprisoned every day.
In the day, you could be given half a cup of water and you share it with two people. Two people share half cup of water.
Uganda, a nation known for its vibrant culture and resilience, hides a dark secret within its prison system. Overcrowded, underfunded, and rife with abuse. These prisons are sites of systematic neglect and brutality. We talked to Honorable Lutamaguzi, who is a member of Uganda's parliament and is also a victim of Kitarya prison. He says that Kitarya is not a prison, instead is among torture chambers we have in Uganda. Inmates are crammed into cells far beyond their capacity, living in squalor with no access to clean water, food, or medical care. Diseases run rampant, and the weak succumb to entirely preventable illnesses.
My dear, that prison Kitarya is a new Guantanamo Bay. It's like those concentration camps where Hitler used to kill the Jews. I just discovered that there is a lot of silent genocide happening in this country. The world doesn't know. Ugandans don't know that there is silent genocide happening to fellow countrymen. It is a well-organized, that place, Kitarya, no one is allowed to go there. You are not allowed to make any phone call unless on special order. There are so many younger men who are arrested and just dumped there. In a room where I was, at first we are 360. But later on the number grew. You are 1-to-1. In the day you could be given half a cup of water and you share it with two people. Two people share half cup of water in a day. When we are in the room in the night, I saw a lot of things. But from the day I slept there, you sleep one on the other like this. And their sanitation system is extremely poor. The toilets are supposed to be run on water, but there is no water. If you want to ease yourself, you have to get permission. They can even tell you, yes, you want to ease yourself, wait tomorrow. And there are so many people, so many younger men who are suffering from those prisons. Each room at least minimum could be of 360 prisoners. Each cell, 300 minimum of 360. And during daytime you could see how people are sweating.
He added, when it comes to National Unity Platform, NUP supporters, it's a different case. Young people between 15 to 30 years are being poured in Kitarya prison every day because of putting on red berets, red overall, wearing Bobby Wine t-shirts, supporting Bobby Wine, and NUP putting on anything red according to President Museveni. That's a military uniform and you're subjected to court-martial. You can imagine I'm a member of parliament and I was treated worse than animals in Kitarya prison. Now what happens to a common Ugandan?
Those who are arrested every night, every day, buses and lorries are even powering young men between the ages of 17 and 30. You ask them what's the problem, they say, if we are found in such and such a place, but we have been dumped there. Even so many men who are there for so many months, so many years, when they dump there, they don't allow them to see judges. There are so many younger men who are arrested because they found them with the red berets of people power. If they somewhere found with putting on overalls of people power, putting on t-shirts of people power, they are all there and they are not allowed to go to courts. There are so many people who are arrested, who are detained, and their families don't know where they are because they are not allowed to make any communications.
Many of inmates fell sick and never received any treatment, and most of them, they came when were beaten and wounded. I saw a lot of prisoners dying right in front of me every day, and no one cared.
There are so many younger men who are dying from that Kitarya prison, but they come when they're already extremely tortured. Those who have been stabbed, those who have been beaten and their teeth are out, but they just throw them there and they order them not to release them. Those who faint, they are taken out. Those who die, if you die, they wrap you in small blankets and put you under the bunker. They have bunkers there. So I just appeal to Speaker of Parliament, even the human rights organizations to go and visit that Kitarya. It's a new Guantanamo Bay. If you die, they wrap you in a blanket, they put you under the bunker, and in the night, you hear a small tractor coming to collect dead bodies. When it takes from around 8 p.m., when it collects the dead bodies, in the morning it brings back the blankets which they took together with the dead bodies. Then they throw them back to the prison as such that you can use them for when you want to sleep. My dear friend, at times I cried when I saw what was happening to these young men, because if I knew if it could happen to me, a member of Parliament who is vocal, what about those silent young boys whose families even don't know that they were collected from within the city? Some were kidnapped from within the city, some are kidnapped from different areas, then they drop or they throw them there in Kitarya prison, and they are dying in a bigger number.
What is happening in Uganda's prisons is a gross violation of human rights. The government has turned a blind eye to the suffering of these Ugandans. True, it's a form of silent genocide. Slow, deliberate, and devastating.
And I wish Parliament could make an impromptu visit to that Kitarya. They will know that there is a new Guantanamo Bay in Uganda, of which they didn't know. People are dying secretly there. I appeal to countrymen, fellow countrymen, Ugandans. There is genocide, but it is silently done. There is genocide being done unto them, but they cannot get justice because even politicians who are supposed to go out and see what is happening cannot be allowed to that Kitarya prison.
Honorable Luda Maguzi continue to tell us that all magistrates and judges, even the police in Uganda, are supporters of the regime. So it's very hard to get justice in the courts of law if you're a political prisoner.
I came to know you cannot find justice in Uganda because most of the magistrates and judges are cadres of the regime. The policemen are cadres of the regime. The so-called the people who are supposed to implement or to give justice, Ugandans cannot do it because they are cadres of the regime, and they fear to give justice to countrymen because they fear Mr. Museveni that maybe he will do something to them. Most magistrates are cadres of the regime. They cannot dispense justice to where it is supposed to be. So it is upon Ugandans to see what they can do, but there is a lot of things happening in this country, especially at Kitarya prison.
Our president Kyagulanyi Ssentamu, Bobi Wine, whenever he happened to talk to the nation, he always sent message to Museveni to stop kidnapping, killing and imprisoning Ugandans because of putting on red berets and overall. But we need extra voices, he added.
All of you know that in 2021, so many of our comrades were arrested. Many of them are still in prison. They were presented to a military court, and their crime was wearing this beret. According to Uganda Police and Uganda People's Defense Forces, this is a military uniform. This is a military uniform. Anybody put this? Come here. According to Uganda Police, this is a military uniform. And many of our colleagues are in prison for dressing like that. According to them, this is a military hat. And hundreds of our supporters are in prison for wearing this. Actually, many were just picked off the streets, taken to the military detention. They have berets that they've confiscated from us. They took their picture and they charged them in the military court for wearing military uniform. Remember that terrorists, rebels that are caught with guns, that have killed people, are not presented in a military court. They're not taken to the court martial. They're taken to an ordinary court, to a magistrate court. But our supporters and our members are taken to the military court. Why? Because they want to plant fear in us. They want to make it abominable for anybody to associate with us. But we say they are joking. We will not stop. I encourage all of you to dress in red, to put on red overall, to put on the way I'm putting on, because it is not against the law. Now, you've just told us that police yesterday said that having found Bobby Young with berets like the one I'm wearing now before you, and suits like the one I'm wearing, only that his were red. He was arrested and now he's detained at JAT. JAT in full is Joint Anti-Terrorism of cameras. And we wear it. They've not arrested me because they know that they are wrong. They are using that to intimidate our people.
National Unity Platform NUP is an opposition political party in Uganda led by a pop star who turned politician Kyagulanyi, commonly known as Bobi Wine. International organizations and activists continue to pressure Uganda to address this crisis. Reports and documentaries bring global attention to the issue, but change is slow and the suffering continues. NGO worker, whom we can disclose, he says, "We are fighting an uphill battle, but every small victory matters. Providing legal aid, healthcare, and education to inmates can make a difference. We need more support, both locally and internationally, to bring about real change." Its opposition supporters are being kidnapped every day and subjected to torture, and then taken to that Kitarya prison without being taken to court, and some are taken to military courts. What is funny, military courts are now acting as civilian courts. We have seen Bobi Wine is all over the place trying to put out his voice so that his supporters and Ugandans can get justice. But let me tell you, justice in Uganda is now in negatives. Most NGOs here in Uganda have already registered those NUP missing people as dead, because we have done our underground work and we found out that those missing people were arrested by the government. But we have moved in more than 80% of Uganda's prison, we could not find them, he added. Conclusion. Narrator. The silent genocide in Uganda's prisons is a human rights crisis that demands urgent attention. As the world watches, we must amplify the voices of those suffering in silence and work towards a future where every human being is treated with dignity and respect.
It's upon countrymen and people in the world to come out and help us. Some of these prisons are like concentration camps of Hitler. So many Ugandans are dying from there, especially young men. They are being imprisoned there, they can't get just, not even courts of law call them such that they can be listened to, but they are just dying there silently and nobody cares.